right, hey, how we doing, guys? So, what are we? Friday. It's the 8th, so we're gonna do a deep dive here on Bitcoin. So there's two counts that are equally technically valid. And while it's nice to see this pump, it's it's a little early to break out the bullhorns because really, right, so if we just look at the triangle, we were kind of anticipating this. You're anticipating the Y to get up here, but it really the implication would be, now if we're going to stay with the triangle, then there's still, right, so just setting up the move down. So let's just had to rework it a little bit since we have this ABC down here, so it required a little bit of a change to the count here to get it to play. So we're still working under the idea that this is the 3. We've got an A, B, and C here. Now, so to get now the D is brutal. So really, if you're an Elliottian, you either love this stuff or you hate it, right? So it's a real challenge to your Elliott skill set to see if you can get this to work. If as I've said many times, getting this kind of detailed Elliott analysis, I mean, it's a choice. It's not essential. It really is not. As I've said, I know many times. What's essential? No, market geometry, fib poles, algo targets. That's what's essential. Now, the Elliott wave helps us identify probability zones and likely resistance, support, targets. It helps you organize what you're seeing, but it is absolutely not essential. So if you're just looking at this going, holy fuck, Jesus, W, X, Y, Z, it's not a requirement to be successful trading, but as you clearly, I use it every day. It helps you try and organize the chaos. Otherwise, it's like, what the fuck? Up, down, up, down, up. That's the whole theory here. So this is a great challenge here. So I would suggest, hey, I'm going to work you through the count. There's really 2 counts here. I'll take you through both of them. But before you get too far into this, what I'd suggest here is just pull up a blank chart or whatever you've been working on. See if you can get a count here that plays, right? That fits, doesn't break any Elliott rule set, right? It'll be a good project here because this is very difficult to get clear. But let's just go through it here. So from the C, get the D has been the bitch, right? So here we go from the C. So we get an A, a B, and a C. That gives us our first W. Here's the W right here, all right? A, B, C, right? It has to be counter trend. So we get the W, so we get the X wave into here. So let me open this up a little bit. So here's the ABC, gives us the X. Right now, at the time, of course, you don't know that that's an X wave, right? You're trying to figure out what the hell it is. It's only when we get this that we kind of work backwards and go, okay, well, how can we organize what's preceded this to make sense of it? So from this WX, now, right, you don't know, right, until after the fact. So we come down, we get an A, we get a B, and we get a C, right? So it's 5, 3, 5, perfect zigzag into the Y down here, right? A, B, C into another X. So note here. So these 3 waves are the X's. So X is always counter to the trend. So we get these 2 3 waves, right? We've had this series of 5 corrected by 3, 5 corrected by 3. Well, here's the 5 down. A, B, C corrects it to give us the X. Now we don't finish with 5. Right? So what's the alternate, right? So all we have down here is the potential for, well, it's a double bottom. So you get your X down here. Pardon me. You get your Z down here to give you the D. All right, so you have a count here that completes, right, or at least completes the D wave here. Now, we get the big rip up. Now, let's, right, not the first time we've seen this. All right, so here, well, come here. All right, so here's same kind of thing. Oh, here's a pump up. Well, shit, there haven't been that many. Well, here's one. Where are they? All right, so we've seen this kind of move before. All right, so don't get overly jazzed about that. There's a long way to go to get a trend change. So these pump wicks, gets you interested again, but right, put it in context as to what's happening here. We've been talking about this triangle for weeks. Eventually, there had to be the push up to get you the E, right? If we're going to see a triangle, and of course, what do we run into? Right, major pivot, slight front run on the 50, probably. So you got to look there now. E's are notorious for underthrowing, right? Not making the trend line. But the fact that this is sitting here at the golden zone, you know, I'm not ready to call the E in just because we bumped into a 50, right? We know what happened there. Major pivot here, dominant pivot here. There's a 50, right? So that software is going to kick in to start to sell that. And it's not that hard to figure it out here. So we've got, prior, you can use levels here. You can draw a square over here. You got prior resistance here. It's tagging that. You get a little kickback from that. Now, this could have another leg to go. Now, we do want to see a corrective wave here, not impulsive, to give us that E wave. So maybe the start on an A wave. It's good, right? So it's good. It's better than just the relentless, either sideways or just drifting lower. So if anything, you needed this because we can't complete the damn thing until we get this move. All right, so it's good. It was necessary. So now let's dig into it a little bit. There's not much there other than straight rip up. So what do you call it? This is the low right here. So this has to be your Z. So what do you do with that? Well, right now, I'm on a 1 hour. Like, can we get anything out of the 15-minute? Even still, it's those kind of straight up, hard to dig any subdivision out of that. Now let's see how it looks if we get a retracement on coming the other direction. So I'm going to use the low here. That's the dominant. We'll go up to that pivot. I got it. Did I get it? Yeah, there it is. Get right on that. So, right, this is a logical spot. So do we have any? Let's compress this down a little bit. So you're just kind of looking left. Yeah, for some reason, I don't have the market profile in there. Hang on a sec. Let's get that there. Okay, we'll get these back off. They're in the way. All right, so, big, obviously, here's point of control. So if we come back down here, this is, some of this stuff here will likely be in play. Right, as potential support. So we just drip back to the golden zone. Potentially now, that'd give you so you might have, it's hard to know if that's done, but you can understand why it ran into resistance there. So maybe you get something like that. Takes you up towards the target up here for an E wave, right? Look where the target is, right? Wouldn't that be interesting? Now, we don't know. I don't have this pivot. This is all just, potential, but you're looking for something along these lines. And if it were to play this way, could easily pivot at the 50. I'm just looking here at these prior wicks, areas where we can anticipate likely some support, prior resistance here. So if it makes the golden zone, beautiful, right? So there, at least there's a potential buy opportunity to trade from, again, wherever this retracement stalls. And again, nothing says it must stop there. I mean, that it could do that easily, right? Because take note here, right? If there's an algorithm that sold it there with that as their target, right? We don't have to wonder about that. We know what just happened there, right? That's a front run on the 50. Now, that doesn't mean they can't get through it, but you know that if this starts to come back down and it breaks the golden zone, that's where they're headed with it. Right? That may very well invalidate the triangle. But for right now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Right? First thing is, let's see what happens at the 50. Now you got a nice little low volume node here, so potentially now you're coming into an area where the market has not accepted, and you can tell why. This thing just goes straight up. So there's no time for any trade to be accumulating there. It's where do we have a little bit here, a little bit here. Here's where most of the trading is because we've been sideways for the last 6 weeks. So this is encouraging because the only way we get a trend change, well, I shouldn't say it that way. It's not the only way, right? So anything can happen, right? But if we're trying to organize this into an Elliott rule set, for us to be more confident with a buy, we got to finish. We got to get this 5 in down here, right? Then we can make sense. We can get a complete correction to get the final move down here. You got to get the whole thing to complete. Then you can start to be more aggressive when first motive wave, if right. So again, I'm not saying this is a certainty, but if we do come down here to finish some of these the lower targets, then as we start to move out of here, I still wouldn't buy I wouldn't try and buy the falling knife. I'd wait for a little, give me a freaking motive wave. I'll take the first retracement. No problem. But until that, it's still this is nothing but it's just a fart in the wind. It's another one of these pump wicks. Okay, so it's not, oh, the trend has changed. It's a requirement to get the trend to change, but we're not ready to call that a trend change just yet. All right, so I'm not saying don't look for a buy opportunity here. Actually, I am saying that. I'm going to look there. Well, we come down here. Well, shit, let's do it this way. We come down there. Shit, why not? Right? You got a target. You got to stop. Well, there's 4 to 1. All right, assuming we pivot at the 50. Maybe a little bite size at the 50. You get your full entree at the 618. Stops tight underneath. So you end up with a split fill. Going after that target. If you get a split fill, there's 5.6 to 1. Shit, nothing wrong with that. So tee it up. At least put an alert on it when we get down here. Let's get an alert going off as we approach the 50, if assuming we do. Of course, if we get something like that, we're going to draw some median lines on it. Right? Wouldn't that be just textbook, right? This would give us what we need. We need this. Right? Is that a sell? Well, if you're comfortable going short, you know there's going to be software behind you there. Now, if it breaks, that's why of course, that's why we like the golden zone here, because you can be stopped just on the other side of it. So very low risk, very nice potential reward. Nothing says we have to stop here, right? We got lower targets down here to pay attention to. But this algorithm here, right, the same algorithm here that sold it here, same target, that doesn't move. Right? So wherever it pivots, right, this target doesn't change. So this will be. There will be interested parties seeing that come down here, right? If you're short there, well, you're one of those interested parties. So we'll see how it plays out. But this is a requirement, but not, in my view, we're not ready to have a trend change. All right, let's look at the other count because it's equally interesting. So I'm back here on a daily. Now this is one Rick has keeps putting in front of me, saying, "Don't forget about that one." It certainly is valid. So in this you've got a WXY. We get a triangle here into the X. Now we're trying to finish an ABC. So again, you put it here on a daily. That looks like a little, something, right? It's a green candle. But we got some ways to go here because this count would imply that this move down here from the X, this 5-wave series, is our A wave. We're in the process of doing the ABC before we come down. And again, same thing. Got to finish down here before we can have the ingredients for a trend change. So, same thing. Now, in this case, we'd pull from the E through the low down here. Let me get, let's go to a 4-hour. Look at that. All right, so I'm just trying to show you guys what this would look like in terms of just getting a handle on the count. So could the B be in down here? Sure, why not? Now this one, this I always struggle a little with this. This, as I've said many times, it's the last move down that is still a little suspect in my mind. Right? Rick disagrees with me, but I think I should say Sensei Hove. Right, so it's this little bit. You've got to turn this into a very tight diagonal to end down here to get this as a 5. It's a little bit of a push. Now, of course, at some level, right, you get down here small enough time, the subdivision always breaks down. Rarely can you get it all the way down to the, you're going to go down to the 1 minute, then you're going to go down to the 30-second, and at some point they all break down, right? So, but you do have you can see it in its, if you just look at the shape of it here, this is very clear, right? This, like, how do you miss that? Let's go up a degree here just to make the case here. So this, I'm a little suspect of this because of this pattern here. This looks more to me like a 3, right? Now, can you get it to work? Yeah, you can get it to work. But I've always been a little suspect of that low because of that stronger shape. So if you go down to a 15-minute here, oh shit, I should have teed up where that ended. I had a very nice member show me how to go to that zone and go right back to it. Is that my? Yeah, here it is. Okay, so let's zoom in on this. So you gotta finish down here. So this is your challenge here. All right, so you gotta trade it, you gotta play it this way. I mean, it's there. You gotta come 4, 5, you know, it's a real dicey down here to get that 5 to work. But it's, you know, it's there. I mean, you really gotta dig it out, but it's there. So you can see it. All right, so you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, you can get that, right? So you get a little diagonal to finish it. So it's a contender. Sorry, so you can get this thing done down here. All right, and then we go into shit, hang on a second. Let's go back. That happens when you change your space. Hang on a second. Where was I? I just had a member show me how to do it, and I've already forgotten how to do it. All right, so let me go back to the daily, and we'll get back to this count here. This is what I'm trying to get here. All right, and that is December 15th of 18. So if I go down here, just had a member show me how to do this. So I can get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish down here, but I don't. Shit, no, that's not what I want. Where do I want it? Yes, that is it. Okay, so that's December 15th. So now if I'm trying to figure this out while trying to teach you guys. So bear with me here. I'll get this. So this is what I want. I want to do, there it is. Okay. I want this little bit here. All right, this last little piece down here is what I was trying to get to. Very hard to get that to play, right? Eventually it breaks down, but you can dig it out of there. You can make a case for it. So we can't have, essentially it's a double bottom. You can't have that finish there. All right, and maybe this just is required to, but if we come back to it and put it back in context of where we are, it's still, the implication still is we go up for the C of the B, and then we've got one more drive down. That's the implication here. I guess we don't need the Weiss wave down here. So we can go A, B, C. So just typical targets here, nothing fancy. So we can take the length of the A projected from this B. All right, so 100. And so really the 100, the 1272, that's your prime zone to get that fib swing relationship. How would that look relative to where we came down? Well, we'd pull from the E if this is complete down here. You know, this certainly gets your attention there. We'd have the 100 right at the 38. So if this ABC kicks here, and there's still, right, all of this to finish down here, that would suggest that if we go up there and we kick down one more time, that's putting us down at 2200. Right, that's a number you've heard from both counts, actually. So there, you know, you've got algo targets down here at that 2200 level. Now, again, doesn't mean we must go down there, but to get more confident in the count, that move down here, which will freak the market out, people will be like, oh, Bitcoin's dead. That's just what we want. Right, about the time that everybody's just bailed on crypto, that's when you're likely to see it start to roll, and they'll flock back, just like, well, most retail, they're sheep, right? So they follow the herd. What's the herd doing? Oh, we got a big wick here. Well, you look on crypto Twitter, it'll be all, here we go, right? Because you know this is Elliott Wave is charting crowd mentality, right? Fear and greed. It's just human emotion. That's what we're charting here. We're using all of these tools, but really this is fear, greed, or pardon me, greed, fear, greed, fear, greed, fear, greed. That's all we're doing, right? So the little bit of greed, a little bit of, you know, oh, here it comes. Not yet. All right, guys, that probably gave you enough to chew on. We're gonna look at one. We're gonna look at another alt too. I know Tudum did an update on EOS. I'm gonna take a look at BNB, which is one of the few really bullish coins on the board. So we'll be back with that shortly. All right, guys.